In 1982, our next guest published The Secret Diary of a naive, spotty 13 3/4-year-old boy named Adrian Mole. From a small initial print run, the book went on to sell an amazing 8 million copies and was also turned into a very successful television series. It's amazing. He's just become so popular, hasn't he?
He has now. He's almost become a kind of institution. And I feel that he's kind of part of British life almost now.
Actually, in a way, I think you've been quoted in the past as saying that it's not really so much about Adrian, but the whole thing is about life in Britain today.
It is. I mean, the diary is really a chronicle of what it's like to live in Britain today. And when you read back, you know, I read back the first book, it was under Mrs Thatcher, and it was quite a different atmosphere in Britain. And then, of course, we had Major, again, a kind of blanding out. And now the Blair years, which are something totally different.
In fact, you had previously said you wouldn't write about Adrian for another 10 years, but you've done it in 5. Was that inspired by the Blair government?
Oh yeah, I wanted to chart Mr Blair's progress, or lack of, and I thought Adrian would be kind of stimulated by it as well.
So bring me up to date on Adrian now. So he's a single parent these days.
He's a single parent of 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
He's working, when the book opens, he's working as an offal chef in Soho. Because I predict that offal is going to come back in a big way. You heard it here first. Mole is chosen because he can't cook. This is one of those very trendy restaurants where people pay £67 for a set meal.
Right.
And they get absolutely no choice. So they're being given pig's trotters, tripe, fricassee of sheep's ears, and paying a huge amount for it. And the wine is £46 a bottle, white or red. But Mole serves this stuff up. But, you know, he's not really a chef. What he is a writer. He wants to be a writer.
And he's still hankering after Pandora.
Oh, he's still in love with Pandora. Now, Pandora is one of Blair's babes. She's just been elected the Labour MP for Ashby de la Zouch. And she's quickly promoted because Pandora speaks 7 languages fluently. And she's an Oxford Don. She's
progressed in those few years.
She has progressed enormously and left Adrian standing. But she's promoted to be in charge of the Whelk department of the Agriculture and Fisheries. So, you know.
Actually, it always amuses me because as a writer, you know, your imagination must be incredible, the way you're able to develop up all the areas of these people. Do you quite enjoy that process?
I enjoy thinking about it. I don't enjoy the actual writing. I think the actual writing is a torment to me. And I make my life a misery and my family's life a misery. And certainly my publisher's life a misery, I think. I find it very difficult to do, and I put it off, and I'd sooner clean a drain out with my hands than sit down and write.
But do you find sometimes if you're in a plane or a train or something, you're thinking, now, Mole could do that, or, you know, Pandora could do that?
I write what I'm interested in. What I'm mainly interested in is... I do like food, so I write about food a bit lately, and politics. And I try and integrate the politics so that it's part of people's daily lives, so that it's not a big, you know, it's not a big shout, it's not polemic, that it's woven in and out of people's lives.
I find it fantastic, though, analysing your life, because you started off, when you were a single parent yourself at one point, and you really had to work very hard. You had practically no money at all, did you? No,
I had 3 small children, and I had 3 part-time jobs.
Doing what kind of jobs?
I worked in a community centre, mainly with elderly people. That's where I learned about Burt Baxter. I learned that elderly people are not necessarily respectable. That was an eye-opener.
Now, this is a debate for a different day.
They were far more interesting than, let's say, their media images of victims. They are much spunkier. I worked in a youth club at night, so I learned about youths. And I worked in a bar, serving those fancy cocktails and those exotic coffees and so on, working until 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes. So, you know, all that, and I've always had very different jobs. It gives you an enormous amount of experience.
And then, of course, from having had to really, work your fingers to the bone virtually to support your children as a single parent, now that you sell millions and millions and millions of books, and presumably you're very wealthy, has there been ever a dichotomy, in a way, analysing both sides of the coin?
No, I've never felt... I've been poorer for longer than I've been richer, if you know what I mean. I was 39 and I'm 54-ish now.
I like the ish.
I know, I'm 53 and a half. So I've been poorer for longer than I've been richer. I will never, ever forget what it is like to be poor. The memories stay with you. I don't take anything for granted. And I fully expect to be poor again, because I'm not sensible with the money. As soon as I get it,
you spend
I spend it on things that are going to be useful for me and other people.
But it's always true, the yin and yang of life, isn't it? You know, as soon as things start to improve, then your health sadly deteriorated a little. You had a heart attack, didn't you?
I did, yeah. That was
a big
12
one.
years. It was 12 years ago, yeah. And I had an angioplasty, which was fine.
But you're feeling good now, are you?
I'm feeling great, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
we're very pleased to hear it, and we're so pleased to be brought up to date with Adrian. So we'll wait for the next instalment, but we'll enjoy this one for the moment.
Well, the next one's the prostate years, I think.
But he knows what he has to do in the meantime, doesn't he? Sue, thank you very much indeed. Sue Townsend, lovely to see you.